It's Reusse Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold, investment consultant, Mr. Money Talk. You've had a few days to think about this Vikings-Packers tilt. Are you leaning any direction right now? Do you have any
Have
feel
they?
for what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think the Vikes will beat them. And did they announce Jordan Love in or out? Do we know, or is he not going to play? Or are they going to
He,
try to keep it up?
he's
And
practicing. He's limited at practice,
okay,
progressing. It looks like he's going to play just based on reading the tea leaves and the
Mhm.
reporting, but they haven't announced anything yet.
So can a team run the ball against the Vikings? We're going to discover that, won't we? Discover that this weekend because they haven't been able to do the other things. Has anybody made a dedicated effort to run the ball against them so far in three
San
games?
Francisco did a little
They
bit.
did, yeah. And so this will be interesting because that was one of the that I turned over to watch the Packer game with to see how Malik Willis was doing, and they ran the ball 22 out of 24 plays to start that game when he first started, and that was a very impressive running game considering they let our guy Aaron Jones go. So that's a wonderful angle, of course. That's going to be beat to death going into the game. Them letting Aaron Jones come to the Vikings, but so far. Jacobs looks young and spry for them now. What, 5 years? He's had as many carries almost as anybody in the league except Derrick Henry. So, he won't make it to the finish line. But really, who will? What running back
Well, none
will?
of us
Aaron
really do in life,
Aaron's not going to make. Aaron will not play 17 games. Okay, we know that, right? Because he's been hurt 3-4 times in his career. So you just hope it's a 2-gamer and not a 6-gamer, right? That he gets hurt, but he's not going to play them all, and I think everybody knows that. Who plays all of them now anymore? I mean, it's pretty
Well,
phenomenal.
Christian McCaffrey did last year, and now he's
Yes.
headed to Germany for like a third opinion on his Achilles problem. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then he, through his history, what's he missed 40% of them or something. Even I mean, he's great, but he's, I mean, 17 games. You can't do it with these guys. It's impossible to stay healthy, and the key to me, a lot of is can you keep your offensive line healthy? That's huge. I mean, Packers. The greatest thing the Packers did was finally stop telling us whether David Bakhtiari was available or not.
he's,
We
he's
expect
he's
him back
questionable
in
again.
we
Yep.
expect him back in 6 more weeks, and boy, we're really going to be good then. I mean, what the if I read if I saw his name on the crawl once more, I was going to get a headache. Come on, that's
Yeah.
he's not going to play. Okay, they finally let that ship sail. The amount of money they had invested in him for the amount of play they got was not real good, but. I think what you have too here, though, in this game is two of the brightest fellas in the league running offenses right now, LaFleur and
Mhm.
I think LaFleur's a hell of a coach. O'Connell's a hell of a coach, and I think that LaFleur probably spends as much time working on defense as O'Connell does. Right? Zero. He
Well,
does it.
but O'Connell, there's the story this week. O'Connell texted Brian Flores before one of the last couple games. He
Giants
said
game.
the Giants game. He
Yeah.
said, "Hey, I have an idea for a blitz." And Brian
Mm.
Flores said, "I like that idea. Let's put it in." And it worked. And
Okay. All right.
they're calling it the KO blitz.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, he can do that, but he probably if they would have walked into the room, they probably would have said, "Who's this guy?" But yeah, I think that Lafleur is. I mean, how many years now, Judge? 6, 5, 6,
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
That's
6 years.
pretty long. That's a pretty long stay right now in the NFL. If you can stay that long, it's pretty good.
Hmm.
So yeah, it'll be fun. It's an old time. I don't know why they're showing us no respect though. Why isn't this a 325 game? I don't get it.
It's a noon game, and the Packers are. I think they're still favored by 2 points right now. So
That
no respect for the teams and no
well,
respect for the Vikings.
well, no respect for the Vikings last week. Still can't believe that they were underdogs in that game. But what is? I wonder what has taken place and what kind of introspection has been going on in Houston this week after that ass kicking that they got here.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like I think that they were taken aback that they didn't get beat, but that they got their ass handed to them.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
they got
mean,
their
they were
butt kicked.
never in the game, and they couldn't block.
Yeah.
They couldn't keep Stroud safe, and this is probably the first time since the middle of last season they saw Stroud completely rattled too, because he was as we were talking about the other day, he was the phenom of that draft class, and I don't think anybody expected that last year as far as the quarterbacks were concerned. But he got humbled a little bit to say, but hey. Packers, Vikings, you can't beat it when they're both good. And I think the Vikings are good, and I think the Packers are pretty good too. So
We get
it's
Kevin Harlan, right? Kevin Harlan's back on the call for this one.
Trent Green, Kevin Harlan,
mhm.
CBS again.
We'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take
I was
that over a time slot.
I was up at Collegeville yesterday for another story, obviously, and was talking to Pat McKenzie, though, who's the basketball coach up there. But Daddy was what was team president for years, right? Or team, he
For
was
Kevin?
yeah, for
Bob, great guy.
yeah, and he, no, not Kevin's father, but Pat McKenzie's dad worked for the Packers forever.
Oh,
Pat
okay.
Senior was, I don't know if he's the money guy or what he was. He was
Okay.
something in the front office. He was very near the top, and he was telling me that his father's very nervous about this one. They still live in Green Bay. The family still lives in Green Bay.
Of course,
Yeah,
there's nothing else that consumes you there,
Yes,
Pat. I can tell you
that's
from
right.
firsthand knowledge. You win or lose on Sunday, and then
Mhm.
become anxious about the next game on Monday, and that's all you got all week.
Smoked fish and that's about it, right?
Amen.
And I can't believe though that so has that town changed much on the bar scene, Judd? When's the last you were there? What years were you there?
03 and 04.
Oh, just two. Okay, that was
Just 2 years.
20 years ago.
And I've been
But,
back. I've been back
has
countless times.
has it updated itself, Eddie? Is that
Yeah, a little
town?
bit.
I mean, the Packers have. I know for sure the whole stadium
Yeah.
situation, but it's
Well, the area around the stadium now, they bought up most of the land, and so it's basically a Disneyland for the Green Bay Packers.
It is.
So
Yeah,
like all that old stuff, that Kmart that was there for years
Mhm.
is torn down. Those cheap hotels torn down.
Mhm.
They bought
well,
up
there's still a couple cheap hotels, but yes.
Yeah.
but they bought up as much of that land as they possibly can, and they've Packerified it. I mean, they're making they're like the Cubs. They're trying to make as much as they can on the real estate around the stadium.
The Johnsonville Tailgate Village right outside.
I mean,
It's crazy.
we can say we hate them and everything, but there's nothing to compare with it in American sports. To have a town like this be, a major attraction. It's the NFL has everything, including history lesson in the league every time you look at the standings. That Green Bay is how they have existed is unbelievable. That in a little town like that, nothing else in American sports to compare with it.
Have
I
you
love
guys?
going on if you go on Zillow.com and you look at Lambeau Field and you can see the lot prices, or even like some houses that are actually active and up for sale. That same house in Princeton, Minnesota is worth $13,000, but in Lambeau Field it is $750,000 for a 2-bed, 1-bath Lambeau.
And the Packers
And
will
you-
pay it to
you
tear
make-
down your house.
Yeah,
Yes.
you make it up on Sundays by selling parking spots. It's great.
Now Vince's old house, did they save it as a relic and a shrine, or did they rip that baby down?
I think Vince's old house was in Green Bay proper, so I bet it's still
No,
there.
I thought it was 2 blocks away or something. Maybe
I
I'm
thought it
wrong.
was, but
Maybe.
the dirty little secret of the entire Packer existence is this, Pat. Lambeau Field should be located in Ashwaubenon, which is a suburb, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
rezoned the entire area around the stadium to make it Green Bay,
Green Bay.
but everything else is Ashwaubenon. So
Yes.
basically, they drew lines and said, "This is still Green Bay, damn it! This is still Green Bay. We need the stadium in
I
Green
love
Bay."
I think one of my favorite things about the old Packers is that Vince's name was in the phone book. You go, if you were upset with Vince, you could dial up the house and tell him that he should have passed down there in the goal line instead of ran, even though they did win the Ice Bowl. He still should
You
have
should
thrown the
tell that
ball.
to Dan Campbell and his family. Are they
Yes,
gonna?
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
our
they
address got put out to the public.
yes, yeah, and that's basically you lost the game, and you're trying to guilt people for being mad that you lost, that you made some big screw up and lost the game. So now I have to move my family. He's a fraud. He's a fraud. I am declaring him a fraud. Okay, Dan Campbell. That
Well,
thing's gonna blow up.
he did bring them to the NFC
Oh,
Championship
sure, he
game. So
did. It's amazing, but he's gonna. If you've ever seen a short-term guy, it's him. He's a nutcase, and he's gonna. It's not when it's all over. They're gonna still, maybe not this year, maybe not. Within 3 years, they're gonna be the Lions again. They're gonna be 4-13 for 5 years. They're gonna be the Lions because they could screw up a one-car funeral, as we say.
yeah.
And they had Jim Schwartz. He seemed like a fairly stable guy. Then he got pretty good. And then he went flippo. He went crazy, and they were awful. And they're just the Lions. When do we get? We play those phonies in Detroit? Is that we
It's
played them in
after the
London?
bye week, couple weeks
They're-
after
That's
the bye
here,
week.
yeah.
Here.
And then at
Who
Detroit
we-
late in the season.
Who we playing in London? Jets? Is that
Yeah.
Jets?
It's a home
I
game.
think Purple Daily should have went. As the success of Purple Daily, I think you guys should have went to London.
Well,
That's what
Declan
I
was
think.
thinking about making it a honeymoon destination.
It was
Ooh,
discussed
man.
in our house. It was discussed.
And they got voted down 1-0.
No, she was actually for it. I voted. I think I mostly voted down
Well,
for
it's
it.
it's an investment, I'm sure.
Yeah,
You know, even if you can get into the game for free, it's an investment. But hey, it's worth it. London, fantastic. Although I wouldn't enjoy it now because my walking is not what it used to be. So because you gotta be able to be at one side of the 4-block park and say, okay, let's go over to the other side of this park. You got to be able to hoof it over there, but it's fantastic.
Pat,
You
have you
know
seen?
that I told you my London story.
Oh.
The last day that you were signing the Princess Di book after her death, we were there and we had to stand in line for 2 hours to sign the Princess Di book. So, and I don't want to say the book. I mean, one of the millions of books they had there. But my wife, a big Princess Di fan, on the last day was able to sign the book and tell her how much she loved her. So
Yeah. Hey, have you seen the story that came out? I think it was yesterday. The new NIL twist with this UNLV quarterback.
Oh yes, I read it. We had Randy Johnson did a piece in the paper this morning, I think, on it. It's unbelievable.
So for the audience that doesn't know what I'm talking about, apparently a UNLV, the coaching staff or whoever, made a promise that he was going to make $100,000 in NIL money to come play for UNLV. I think he was at like Holy Cross, and they brought him over.
Yeah, he's a Holy Cross. He's not even as good as New Hampshire, for God's
Right.
sakes.
But they
We got
offered him
our guy.
they promised him verbally
Well-
$100,000, and now that we're 3 weeks, by the way, they're 3-0. They're off to a good start. They just beat Kansas on the road,
Yeah.
and he has said, "Peace
Not
out.
playing.
I'm not
But
playing anymore. You guys aren't going to get me my 100K."
Here's the deal. Him and his agent are saying, an assistant coach said, you could make 100, you could make 100, you can come here, you make 100, 150,000. It was an assistant coach. It was as a BSing, saying, yeah, come on out. We could use you. He doesn't have anything from the head coach. He doesn't have anything from the athletic director. He doesn't have anything from the NIL outfit out there. They got one like we got here. Hey, by the way, does Ryan Burns being the head of our collective hurt his objectivity in covering the team at all? I mean,
Absolutely not.
not,
He's
no,
just following in
Yes,
Sid's
yes,
footsteps, Patrick.
yes.
That's all he's doing. That's
But-
all he's doing. Berating
anyway-
officials and recruiting.
But anyway, I read RJ's story, and it's a little more vague than, yes, we're going to give you, 100. Some assistant coach said it in passing the way it sounds.
Here's the question, though,
When he
Pat.
got there, they only gave him $3,000 for traveling expenses. So
Here's the question, though. That what this is going to, and this is going to be great fun. If an SEC or a Big Ten kid at like Ohio State outperforms his cash flow
yes,
that he's promised, when does he say, you know what?
yeah,
I'm not going to play until I get more. I'm better than
Right.
you thought.
yes,
I'm better.
Oh yeah,
It's a holdout. We are prime for holdouts.
We are.
the NFL in every other pro sport is so much more ethical than college sports right
It's
now.
true.
In college
there's a structure.
Yes, it's not.
We need contracts.
They
We
do.
legitimately need
You're gonna have to
contracts.
sign
And a salary
contracts.
cap.
Yeah, yeah, right. So,
Then
yeah.
do we do full revenue
How did-
share? I mean,
How
Right.
did they allow this to happen so rapidly? Why didn't somebody fight these things in court? You got some fly-by-night judge in Florida saying, yes, this is okay, and nobody challenged it. It's
that's
but
crazy.
they overturn these guys all the time. You know, you take them to the next court, and you get somebody with some common sense. You know,
Also-
here's the other thing. Okay, it's a different. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, if you're this UNLV quarterback, when I saw the story came out, I thought, oh man, this is so. What did they They must have promised him like $1 million, and they pulled it off the table. And I'm not saying $100,000 is life changing for a lot of people, and I don't know that it's worth. You're playing on national TV, buddy. Maybe you keep playing well. You can go play
you
in the
play at
UFL or
Holy
something.
Cross,
Like,
for Christ's sake.
you're just gonna
know.
quit.
Yeah, I mean it's what a. I mean the guy's not going to be able to get a job at Kmart, you know, after this because ethically, I mean, there's no written document saying that anybody offered you this. It's just his you know, some. And here's the other thing: how are they approving? You know, the NFL had all these crooks stealing people's money, and they finally had to get, you know, you finally had to get authorized, right? Who's author? Is this, you know, there's no control on who's negotiating for anybody, right? Is there? Who's taking how much of the money, and it's anything.
And I saw there was like a statement from like his agent said this, and normally you think like, oh, agent must be a 40-year-old. A lot of the agents, quote unquote,
Yeah.
especially if you're going from Holy Cross to UNLV, a lot of these agents are fellow college kids that are just
Yes.
buddies with these players.
Yeah, we're drinking with them in Worcester for a few years, and now they're and now it's an agent. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's nobody authorized. And it's just
It wasn't
hearsay.
Drew Rosenhaus recommending that he leaves UNLV. Let's
Well,
just
what
put it that way.
happened is the kid got out there. He was lucky, you know. He thought he was going to get a little more money, but he gets out there. He's having gets to play. First of all, he had to win the job, right? And I would think a guy from Holy Cross doesn't come in and just get handed the job, even at a lousy program like that's been. But all of a sudden, they're talking to each, sitting around drinking beer, talking. We need more money. You know, we get, you know. So
Yeah.
if he came back to me now and I was the coach, I wouldn't let him in the building.
Agreed.
I would take my chances with anything else. I would not, you know. It's they had more ethics in college sports when Tark was at UNLV, and the guy
Yeah.
was in the whirlpool with the gangster. You know, what was
Exactly.
it? The guard Anderson. What was his name? The guard.
Yeah, he's definitely in tight with the mob. Yes.
They were in tight with the mob, but the mob's more ethical than what's going on in college sports.
It's
right
smarter.
now. The mob, yeah, the mob.
The mob
has
is
rules.
smarter.
It's smarter. College sports is filled with some of the dumbest people you ever want to meet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Greatest Tark story ever, though. We don't know how, but Tark, you know, it was still mobbed up out there, and Tark was going to leave and go to the Clippers, and the guy that went out to kind of make the deal, allegedly, They found him in a trunk out at the airport about a week later, and
Yep.
Tark said, "I think I'm staying in Vegas."
So Vegas is great. Love Vegas.
Yeah, right.
And you know what?
Anderson Hunt. That was.
It was a great move because, as we found out, Tark was not designed to coach in the NBA. He was perfect for college basketball.
Yes, he was.
The mob did Tark a favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to stand through 2 practices with him. I went out to do there. It's something. He's those sleepy eyes and man looking, and all of a sudden, he'd blow his whistle and walk over and tell. This was when they were great, man. This was when they beat the Dukies. I loved them that night. And then the next time they get beat by those SOBs. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, Pat, we got to run to a scoop session with our guy Doogie here, but we will we'll unpack some twin stuff with you tomorrow. See how they
Twins,
do.
not dead yet, Declan. Your team is
Not
still
dead yet.
in there.
Somebody
if they just keep
hit him with a
hitting
shovel.
enough, if they just keep
Hit him with a
hitting enough-
shovel. End it.
If they just keep hitting enough balls to the Miami infield, they can win this. They can just keep putting it in place. Don't strike out. They can kick it all over the place. All right, see you guys.
Amazing. All right, there he is. Patrick Reusse, Unchained here, presented by Josh Arnold.